Addictions touch even the best Christian families right here in San Diego. This is Recovery Radio San Diego with Todd Cunningham of Pacific Hills Treatment Center and Recovery Options Network, along with John and Leslie Savage on KPRZ weekdays at 6:30. Stay with us for real-life stories, help from Christian experts, what works and what doesn't work, and local area resources for you and your family. Welcome to Recovery Radio San Diego.
Good evening. You're listening to 1210 AM KPRZ. This is a new radio program about addictions and self-destructive behaviors and God's gift of recovery. Welcome to Recovery Radio. My name is John Savage, and I am a grateful recovering addict. I'm one of 3 members of this new local radio ministry. Recovery Radio is a daily program heard Monday through Friday at this time. And its sole mission is to assist addicts and their families by providing local professional resources to get them the help they need so they can live a healthy and productive life. I believe that man's chief end is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. And to do that, you must be sober. So you must surrender from your destructive behaviors, seek forgiveness, and acknowledge what Christ did for you on the cross. From there, that's where my freedom began. Others involved in this ministry is my wife, Leslie, who throughout my period of drug abuse and now my recovery has stuck by me, and I'm very thankful to her for that. And our third partner is Todd Cunningham with Recovery Options. Todd, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. Let's talk about Recovery Options and your role with Recovery Options.
Well, I head up Recovery Options. Recovery Options has been around for almost 20 years now. Back in the older days when Betty Ford had started up and in Hazleton and so on. They would get calls for insurance, dual diagnosis issues, and they couldn't serve everybody. So what they would do is they'd send those people to Recovery Options. And what our mission was to help find everybody help. Mm-hmm. Didn't matter how much money they had, didn't matter what their geographical location was or what their addiction issues were. We would help them find help. So we're extremely well networked across the United States. So today we take over 100 calls a day from people that are looking for help with addiction issues, and that's what we do. We're committed to helping them at no charge. Mm-hmm. So when a caller calls in, he gets a free professional assessment on him or her or their loved one's situation, and we help them kind of weed through the process of finding help.
Mm-hmm. We've been on the air now for over a month now. We've had lots of calls. What type of calls are you getting?
Well, I get all kinds of calls. I get calls from people that call in and say, I just wanted to thank you guys for being on the radio. It's really needed. I lost my husband to alcoholism, and I was so happy and pleased to hear that somebody's addressing this publicly. And then I get the telephone calls from the father who has a son who has a methamphetamine problem or heroin problem, not sure what to do, how to intervene. And so we kind of walk through the different scenarios, the information he needs to acquire, maybe provide him some resources to get started. Quite often I'll ask, can I actually talk to your son? And so I'll talk to their son or their loved one and find out where they're at and try to motivate them to getting help and determine how severe the problem is. So.
Well, you're right. This program came to my mind 3 years ago after I first began my recovery journey, and it was 3 years ago when I finally surrendered and met God. And at the time, I was locked up in a Tijuana jail cell. I mean, that was my turning point. I surrendered right there in that jail cell. There was about 16 other guys. I'm on my knees, raising my hands, knowing that there was nothing except God that could remove this obsession to use. And so since then, and since my beautiful and great recovery journey, which has not been all that easy, there's a lot of work to it, but this show came to mind. And that's what the show is about, is to get the word out about addictions, but God's gift of recovery. Over the last few days, we've been talking about the intervention process, and we've been real thankful to have Shane Hankinson with us. He and his father, Keith, are in the intervention business. Shane, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for taking, I guess this is the fourth day you've been with us, and I appreciate the time that you're putting up against this radio program. It's
been great. I've been thankful for the opportunity.
Well, that's great. So we've been talking over the last few days about the intervention process. We talked a little bit yesterday about your Clean Play organization, and I got to tell you, I was very impressed with that. I really want you to talk about your Clean Play organization.
Yeah. Well, Clean Play is something that, for me, came as a result of years of intervention work. And intervention is done when things have fallen apart. Addiction has ripped through a family and things have fallen apart. And intervention is kind of coming in and trying to put pieces back together, trying to salvage as much as we can. And I started to think about how I was susceptible to drug use when I was in high school. And just started thinking about my own kids. I started back in '94, and my kids were, just born. And as I continued in this process, I watched my kids grow up, and I would do interventions for 15 and 16-year-old kids that have been using drugs for several years, and I wondered, how am I going to help my kids stay clear of this? And so one of the thoughts that I had is the fact that that a great deterrent has always been random drug testing, and so I wanted to give my kids that. But I knew, being the dad that I am, that I would give them random drug testing when I was upset with them because of their attitude or the way they spoke to their mom or how they were doing in school. So I realized that it would never truly be random. It'd always be sort of a club that I held over their head. I don't like your attitude. Here, go use this cup. And so I knew that it had to be truly random. It had to be from outside of our family. And so I started researching and trying to find drug testing places that would offer, random programs. And I couldn't find anything. And so I created a program. And what this program does is it offers a family, it offers a young person a truly random drug testing experience, just like if they worked for a corporation that did random drug testing. So their name is entered into a pool of 100 names, and each week 5 of that 100 is chosen for drug testing. Our testers come to the person's house. We make a phone call when we're about a mile away, making sure that both the child and the parent are home. They've given us times when they are most certainly going to be home. So we call from when we're a mile out, and we go and do the test. The child, uses the cup to produce a specimen in the bathroom. The door is cracked, so they can't do anything with the sink, and their parent is right there. So it's very safe, very professional. Once the sample is collected, our collection agent leaves. They don't sit there and test it right there and give the kid a lecture, anything about it. Our goal is just that if we show up, that kid passes the test and they don't hear from us again for maybe another couple of months. But what it does is it offers deterrence. It offers a kid an easy way to say, no, I can't try any drugs because my parents have got me signed up for this crazy program, and I get tested. I could be tested any week, and my friends are being tested, and so there's no way I can even chance it because I'll get busted. And then if a test comes up positive, we retest at no additional charge. We do a hair analysis at no extra charge. We offer a 3-month probationary thing that we call our accountability program. That's no extra charge. So for about $250 for the entire year, everything is covered. And the thing is that like a drug test is about $40 or $50. A hair analysis test is about $150. 1 hour with a counselor is about $120. Mm-hmm. So it's almost kind of like a AAA membership, but instead of for your car, it's for your child's drug safety throughout their high school career. A lot of colleges are doing random drug testing programs if you're involved in college sports. So if a student is an athlete, they're going to have to get used to that anyway. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it's been a great program. And there's a lot of kids who at first were like, I don't want to get drug tested, but now they're just thankful that they've got us in their back pocket. And they don't have to live with that temptation or going to a party and what to do if somebody asks them. Because, the fact is that nobody has this incredible moral fortitude to stand up to peer pressure. We see movie stars, athletes, we see doctors, lawyers. Everybody is caving in at times. And so we can't assume that middle school and high school kids are just going to be able to stand on their own and defy the peer pressure that comes their way.
So the web address for Clean Play?
Cleanplay.org. It's all just one word, cleanplay.org.
And we know that you live in the Atlanta area.
Yeah, that's where that's where I'm from, and that's where our headquarters is. But we have this. It's a very portable thing because we have agents in different cities, and as soon as we have a pocket where we have people interested, we find an agent, and it's just a collection agent that will go and do the testing, and then we handle the rest through local counselors, through phone conversations with our staff, and we're just like our intervention business. Once you call us, we're on your team.
What a great ministry and
Fantastic.
Yeah. So we're talking for the last few days. We've been talking about the intervention process. I know that Todd had some follow-up questions with that.
Very, very often, once you get to this point, you'll have the addict or alcoholic very offended and upset and just refusing to participate.
Yeah.
Can you talk to that?
Never once. Well, one time. One time after reading our intervention letters and then inviting the person to get help, one time in the last 15 years for me has a person said, yes, I'll get help. And what's the norm is no, I don't want to get help. And then we begin the process of, okay, why don't you want to get help today? Well, I can't because of my job. I can't because, I'll leave my dog behind. I can't because I have a concert to go to this weekend. They have a full gamut of excuses of why they can't go right now. And basically, it's just because they don't want to get help right now. But after hours of that, sometimes we come to just a point where we're just butting heads. And this person is absolutely refusing to go. There's no way you can make me go. I'm an adult. It's, my choice. I have to sign myself into treatment, and you can't make me go. And we get to the point where we're just at a stalemate. Now, that's not the end of the intervention. In fact, the intervention is never over until the family says to the addict, you know what? We were wrong to intervene. We were wrong to get involved in your life. We're sorry. We did the intervention. Please forgive us. We'll go back to living life as normal. So we'll go back to living life and ignoring your disease, ignoring your drunk driving, ignoring your fits of rage, ignoring all bad health and everything else that goes with it. We'll just ignore all that and we'll just stick our heads back in the sand, and we're sorry that we ever did this intervention thing. That's when an intervention is over. Is when the family quits and gives up and apologizes for doing it. Until then, the intervention is in full effect. Now, the goal with the intervention is that the person, after a couple hours of giving all their excuses and trying to manipulate down to maybe just go see a counselor once a week or, after that's all done, the goal of the intervention is that the person finally says, okay, I'll go. I don't want to go. I'm not excited about this, but I know I need help. I don't like the idea of treatment. I wish I could do it on my own, but I know that, I can't. So, yes, I'll get help. And then finally they get on the airplane and they head off to treatment. However, if a person absolutely is refusing to go, we have what we call bottom line statements. And the bottom line statements is something to the effect of, it's not okay for me as your friend, as your father, as your coworker. It's not okay for me to enable you to live like this any longer. If you refuse to get help today, our relationship will change in the following ways. And then we make a list of things I can't do any longer. Not things I won't do or the tough love threats of, I'm going to take the car away from you. I'm going to stop paying your rent. It's not about these are the things I won't do for you anymore. It's things I can't do. And tough love is, I've always understood it as things we do that are tough on a person to get them to do what we want them to do. But the best definition that I see of tough love is right out of the prodigal son story, where the father he stays at home. He stays at home knowing his son is out there screwing up his life. He stays at home. Every day he goes to the edge of the property and looks on the horizon hoping to see his son return, but he doesn't go chase his son down. So, and I'm sure he was tempted to do it. Any father would be. Send out one of your servants and slip your son a 50, but don't let him know it's from me. But the father prevented himself from doing the things that he wanted to do for his son whom he loved, and that's tough love. When we prevent ourselves from doing the things that we want to do. I want to help somebody who is down on their luck and they can't make rent and all they need is $50. I love you. You're my son. I want to help you out. But see, deep down I know that it's not about $50 for rent. It's about you're $50 short because you took your $50 and went and bought drugs. And so I can't do anything that will help this disease to continue. And that's the tough love. It's preventing myself from doing what comes instinctual to me. When I see somebody in pain, I want to take away that pain. And I just started touching on this yesterday, is there's two things that motivate people to change, and that's desire and it's pain. And those are the only two. Everything boils down to those two. Well, drugs robs a person of their desire, their ambition, their motivation, their desire for a better life, desire to perform better at work, desire for better communication in their marriage. It just steals all of that away from them. The only thing then that they're left with that can possibly motivate them to change is pain. But what happens is that loving families rob their addicted loved one of pain. They take the pain away. And we're actually doing them a disservice by taking their pain away because that's all they got left. That's the only thing they got left that will motivate them to change, and we're taking that away from them. And so what we do in the bottom line statements is we basically say, I can no longer take your pain away. I can't give you money for gas. I can't give you money for rent. I can't talk to you about your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your job or the weather or your sports or your hobbies. I can't talk to you about anything other than when you're going to get help. So are you going to get help today? No, I just called to, talk about the weather. I love you, but I can't talk about that with you because for the 5 minutes that I spend talking with you about the weather, what I'm saying in effect to you is, what's more important to me? It's more important to me than to have a 5-minute conversation with you about the weather than it is for you to go in and get help for your disease. And for me to tell you that is for me to live in denial and to help you live in denial, that a 5-minute conversation about sports is more important than your addiction right now. And I need to let you know, bottom line, clear as a bell, the most important thing in your life is that you get help. So as soon as you're ready to get help, call me because I will be there instantaneously. But I can't have you over for Thanksgiving dinner. I can't have you over to watch a football game. I can't go meet you for lunch like we used to do all the time. I can't spend 2 seconds with you and not talk to you about when you're going to get help for your addiction. And so that's basically the bottom line. And when the whole family is doing it, then the person's getting the same message from everyone in the family. But often what happens is the addict will try to split the family and say, hey, Susie, what's wrong with mom and dad? I mean, they got all, weird and religious, and all of a sudden, they did this intervention thing on me. They're freaking out on me, and they won't pay my rent anymore. But, that my problem is not as bad as they think it is, and can't you just give me like $50? And they try to split the team. But the strength is when all the team members stay together, stay united, and keep saying the same thing. I love you, but I can't help you do this anymore. We're at war with your addiction. We're not at war with you. Mm-hmm. You're a victim in this war. But we are at war with your addiction, and we will not do anything else to help the addiction continue any longer, and we will do whatever possible to stop it as soon as we can.
You're listening to 1210 AM KPRZ. This is Recovery Radio for San Diego.
Shane, I have a question.
Yeah.
We've been talking about all the problem sides of intervention. With Pacific Hills Treatment Centers, we provide treatment for people that go home and then send us letters, testimony letters on how well they're doing.
Yeah.
Can you talk on some positive notes?
Yeah. Every so often, our contact with the family is usually based on the family's desire to stay connected with us. Now, here's how things work with us is that we get involved in the messiest point in the situation. And it's usually the point that people want to forget about because it was the most conflict. But oftentimes it's the most rewarding. I mean, it's the first time that the family has cried together. It's the first time that people have said "I love you" to each other in years and years. But once a person goes to treatment, then the family has contact with the treatment center and the treatment staff, and every so often we'll get a call from them to let us know how the person's doing. But I had an interesting story 3 or 4 years ago. I brought a young gal into treatment for crack cocaine addiction, and she was as strung out as you can be. I mean, she could be in the poster child for crack cocaine abuse. I mean, she had every stereotypical thing that you think of when you think of a crack addicted young lady. She had it. And then about 4 months later, I brought another gal to the same treatment center, and the woman who the woman who met us at the door and took our bags and gave us a tour of the treatment center was just this very classy, sophisticated, well-spoken young woman, and she said to my patient. She said, "Yeah, you wouldn't believe it, but Shane actually brought me here 4 months ago," and my jaw about hit the floor. I could not believe it because it was night and day what treatment had done for this young lady.